Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be doing my mermaid drawing. If you're not familiar with it, Mermay is usually a 30-day or 31-day drawing challenge where people will draw mermaids every day for the month of May, causing what is called Mermay. Now, I did not draw mermaids for 31 days. I thought that was a lot, especially as someone who's participated in other drawing events like Inktober. Drawing for 31 days straight when you're a very busy person on top of finals is a lot. So I decided that I would just do smaller amalgamations of mermaid pieces. So for this one, because it is mermaid and mermaids live in water, or at least they would, they're not entirely real, I thought I would do a watercolor piece. I have really been enjoying doing watercolors of recently, and I just want to get back into the swing of drawing. So I decided I would do a mermaid piece. This is not particularly watercolor paper that I'm using. It's actually colored pencil paper, and it's very textured, but it's very thick. The watercolor still warps the paper because watercolor warps most paper no matter how thick it is. I'm not really sure how many pounds of paper it is, but I'm assuming at least upwards of 100 pounds. It's a lot thicker than your normal cardstock is what I would say. I did my sketch initially in pencil, and this is actually the second iteration of the sketch I did. I had did one the day before with the intention of recording it, but it didn't go out as planned, so I just decided to start over with this one on a fresh day with a fresh mind. And I did the sketch, and then here I am doing the quote-unquote line art in pencil. So I wasn't actually sure how I should do line art for this piece because usually I do it in colored pencil. However, I did not feel like doing line art in colored pencil just because it was feeling kind of finicky and I just didn't have the patience for it. So I decided, I see watercolor people on my pages sometimes, they use pencil as their line art. Why don't I try that? Number one, I can erase it if I make a mistake. And number two, it's not like I haven't done cleaned up sketches where I use pencil or mechanical pencil as line art before, or some sort of cleaned up line art, not necessarily line art. So I did it, and also just because I don't really have any waterproof pens, so I did it in pencil. And in hindsight, I don't mind. It was a very easy coloring experience. My pencil did not smudge, thankfully, so that was really nice in terms of my watercolor. However, I don't think I'll do it in pencil again unless it's for my sketchbook or something. I just didn't like the final look of it. I think colored pencil gives a lot more life. It does take an exorbitant amount of time to do, but I think the end result is worth it. And line art is usually relaxing, and I don't think this piece was too complicated, so I could have done it. I do like how the clean line art looks on its own, though. Moving on, I'm starting to do the watercolor of the watercolors. So my watercolors are fairly old. In fact, I believe I've had them for around 5 years now. And they're just your standard, get them at, your local grocery store, sort of come in an art kit when you're younger sort of thing. So they're not professional or super up there in terms of watercolor. I'm not even sure what the brand is. I just got it a long time ago and I've been using it since. It does the job. It's a little chalky, but I don't really mind. Most of the watercolor pieces I usually hang up or I put them in my sketchbook. So they're not really rubbing against anything or having to, fade. My brush, however, I do really like. I'm not sure how I got it either. I believe it was also in one of those art kits, but I don't know. It was really nice. It holds water very well. It comes to a point. Overall, I just really like it. So off to the side, you can't see it on screen, I am mixing colors within the lids of the palette that the watercolor comes in, and every so often you'll see my hand go off screen for quite some time. I had to speed this up by 16 in order to fit it all into this video. But I'll be mixing colors, so I mixed her skin tone, then I mixed a shading color with a bit of purple and a darker purple, I think, or black or something. I add a few reds for blush and shading, and overall, I really like how watercolor works. I'm not super used to it in terms of painting mediums. I've been using mediums like acrylic a lot longer, but I find watercolor a lot easier. I would like to eventually invest in, other watercolors too. I think that could be really fun. But overall, for this piece, I wasn't really sure what color scheme I was going to do, so honestly, the colors kind of end up being sort of a last-minute choice. I did her skin tone, I already knew what that was going to be, but after that, I was kind of just left confused for a little while there. Here I am blending in some blush into her skin, which I think turned out very nice. The colors are a little darker on screen. In real life, after the piece had fully dried, and obviously it's not on camera, it is a bit lighter in real life. But I decided to do a red tail with pink accents. Not really sure what I was going for with this. I didn't want to do a blue tail because water, and that's usually depicted as blue, so I thought that would be too similar. And I didn't want to do green because I didn't want to do the Little Mermaid, even though nothing against her, just didn't feel like it. I didn't think of yellow at the time, and I didn't want to do orange, so I decided on red. I very rarely do mermaid tails as red, so I think it was an okay choice at the end. I added a bit of shading. I wish I did go a little harder on the shading for the red part of her tail. The pink part, I think I just needed to mix different colors. It ended up a little muddy, but you know, that's just me. I overall really do like this piece, and probably one of my favorite parts is her face and her hair, looking at the final product next to me here. I think the hair just looks really flowy and nice. Originally in the line art stage, I was like, oh, this looks kind of stiff, but after I added in the colors and the shading, it's probably one of the most colorful parts of the piece, and overall, I just think it looks really nice. I also think her face turned out well after it dried, because I did add a lot of water in those initial passes. Overall, you can also see the tape border next to it. Please ignore it, it's a Mickey Mouse tape. For some reason, I don't have like regular painter's tape at my disposal, and honestly, I've been using this like random roll of Mickey Mouse tape for years, and it works great as a watercolor border. Like, I've used it before in several other instances with this same watercolor, and it works great, so I keep using it. You know, reduce, reuse, recycle. I just recycle this tape every once in so often, and you know, when it gets really, you know, crinkly, I just toss it out and start a new roll. But I have a lot of it, so I've been using it up. But yeah, overall, I do really like how this piece turned out. I think it's cute. I do wish there were a few other colors in the mix of her skin tone. I think I really could have pushed some more values, but at this point I was like, oh, the paper's starting to warp, and her face, at this point, I was not 100% convinced, but as it dries, it gets a lot better. Overall, I do really like this piece, and I do really enjoy Mermaid. I did a few sketches in my sketchbook, and hopefully I'll be posting those throughout the next week. But I want to thank you all for watching and being really patient with the videos of recently, and I hope you really enjoyed this process. In a moment here, we'll see the final touches of the water as I put in place, and just added a few bubbles in pencil. Overall, I probably will do another watercolor video very, very soon because I quite enjoyed this process. And yeah, I want to thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!